Let's bring in our senior political analyst, Marwan Bishara. Now, Marwan, what do you make of what's come out of the summit in Riyadh? What do you make of the statement? Is it strong enough? Is a statement enough?
I think the statement is quite strong and it's quite important, it's quite significant, because it does express the opinion and the will of 57 Arab and Muslim majority countries. There is absolutely no doubt that when almost 1/3 of the world states speak with one voice and speak with one clear voice, that one, what is going on in Gaza is unacceptable, that it is war crime, and that Israel's and America's claim about self-defense is not justifiable, is not accepted. And taking a good number of steps, albeit rhetorical and legal, against Israel. Now, in reality, a lot of these countries are not in speaking terms with one another. Some of these leaders don't even talk to one another. Some of these countries are actually enemies with one another, don't even have diplomatic relationships with one another.
And yet they've come together for this. It wasn't supposed to be a summit with so many countries.
Absolutely. So this is not a European Union. This is not a Muslim Union. This is not an Arab Union. This is a whole bunch of countries. Some of them are completely dependent on the United States for their survival. Some of them are clients of the United States. Some of them are enemies of the United States and Israel. Some of them normalize relationship with Israel. So the fact that they're all coming together and speak with one clear voice, I think that's significant, and it could have repercussions. Now, of course, expectations in the Arab world, if you look at social media and what people are saying, everyone is frustrated. Because after all the speeches and all the communique, in the end of the day, medicine, food, fuel is not reaching the people in Gaza. The killing fields in Gaza continue. The war crimes continue. I'm sure Israel did not translate the final communique to Hebrew to understand what's going on. This could be a pressure on Western countries, especially the United States, who without them, I think Israel would think twice about continuing its genocide in Gaza. So I think it's important strategically. It's not actionable, and that's frustrating for a lot of people. And yet it is significant.
And you know, any time that there are attacks in Gaza during all of Israel's wars on Gaza, you always hear people say, but where are the Arab countries? What are they doing for the people in Gaza? What are they doing for the Palestinians? Is there anything that they can do right now in the immediate term to stop, to get Israel to stop what's happening in Gaza?
Well, this is the thing, right? I mean, so now countries that are bordering Israel and Gaza, for example, take Egypt, right? Egypt now could say that there is a resolution by fellow Arab and Muslim countries, 57 of them, that say that Egypt has a right, indeed, I think, an obligation to help the people in Gaza and to break the siege if necessary, because it is part and parcel to the siege. In other words, the final communique could be materialized by a good number of countries who are serious about putting pressure on Israel and the United States. Those countries who normalize relations could now say, we're going to sever relations with Israel because there is 57 countries behind us who all say what Israel is doing is war crimes. We cannot continue to have diplomatic relations. Now, the problem with the Arab world and the problem with the expectations of the Arab world is that they are fanciful. The Arab world is not united, and a good number of it is impotent, and a good number of it also is destroyed by civil wars. Those who are capable do not want to take action. Those who are not capable can say all they want, but they are not effective at the end of the day. So it is a poor, and I don't want to say desperate, but it is a poor situation in the Arab world. Now, once again, because of how poor the situation is, and because of how divided are the Arab majority and Muslim majority countries, the fact that they could all agree on this one very particular communique, I think that's important. It falls short on what is needed.
But let's see if it's a good start. You mentioned the neighboring countries, what they can, what they can't do. Israel's defense minister said in the last few hours, had a very strong warning for Hezbollah in Lebanon, saying that civilians, if Lebanon tries to join the war, that the civilians will be the first to pay the price.
War criminals, honestly. I mean, and I'm not saying that lightly, and I'm not giving my opinion. Israeli leaders are acting like war criminals. They used to be political criminals, now they become war criminals. Because when one Israeli president says there are no innocents in Gaza, all Palestinians hold responsibility for October 7. When another one calls him, this very particular person, the defense minister calls them human animals, and then he says he will treat people in Lebanon the same way. Basically, the Israelis are taking a position whereby women, children, men, and their animals could be slaughtered in revenge to what happened October 7th. These are war crimes. This is genocide. There's intent and there is action. And it's very dangerous. And that's why I said on a number of occasions here on our channel that what worries me now is not the fact that Hezbollah wants to, get Israelis busy on the northern frontier so that they will lessen the pressure on the southern frontier. What worries me is that because the United States has deployed its armada to the East Mediterranean, because the Israelis believe that they don't want to be subjected to another October 7, that they, not Hezbollah, they will initiate in some form or another an aggression against Lebanon. That's what worries me, because they think this is their chance. Why? Because the Americans are here, the Europeans are supporting, and if they could finish with Gaza, that perhaps they could start with Lebanon. It's dangerous what's going on, and once again, I think the policymakers in Western capitals, especially the United States, should heed the calls from the Muslim majority countries. Because if we think that they are mild, I think they have spoken, all of them today, not to me and to you. They've spoken to their street because they know their streets are boiling and they could implode.
And not just their streets too. We've seen hundreds of thousands of people coming out on the streets of London. Marwan, thank you as always. That's our senior political
and other
analyst,
European
Marwan
capitals,
Bishara.
by the way.
Absolutely.